The champagne glass shattered against the marble floor, and that's when I knew my life was over. "You belong to me now," he said, his British accent cutting through the air like a blade. "And no one, absolutely no one, can save you." I stood there, trembling, staring into the coldest gray eyes I'd ever seen. Behind me, the man I loved, the man I trusted, had just sold me like I was nothing. And the worst part? He told them I came willingly. But let me start from the beginning because this story will mess you up. My name is Emma, and 3 days ago I thought I was in love. Jake, my boyfriend of 2 years, the man who promised me forever, who held me when I cried, who said he'd never let anything hurt me. I should have known something was wrong when he started acting distant. The secretive phone calls, the late nights, the way he'd flinch whenever I asked about money. "Baby, I need you to do something for me," he said that Tuesday evening, his hands shaking as he gripped my shoulders. "There are some people I owe money to, dangerous people, but I have a plan." I remember my heart dropping into my stomach. What kind of plan? "Just, trust me, come with me tonight, wear something nice. We're going to meet someone who can help us." Help us, that's what he said. So stupid, so incredibly stupid. He drove me to a mansion in Knightsbridge, the kind of place that screamed old money and older secrets. The gates alone probably cost more than my entire apartment. Men in black suits lined the entrance, their eyes tracking our every movement. "Jake, I don't like this," I whispered, my heels clicking against the stone pathway. "It'll be fine," he muttered, but he wouldn't look at me. We were led through corridors that smelled of expensive cigars and leather, until we reached a study that could have been ripped straight from a movie. Dark wood, floor-to-ceiling bookshelves, and sitting behind a massive desk, a man who made my blood run cold. He was younger than I expected, maybe early 30s, with dark hair swept back, a sharp jawline, and those piercing gray eyes that seemed to see straight through me. His three-piece suit probably cost more than I made in a year. Everything about him screamed power, control, danger. "Mr. Ashford," Jake stammered. "I brought her just like we agreed." My head snapped toward Jake. "What?" The man, Ashford, stood slowly, his movements precise and calculated. He walked around the desk, studying me like I was a painting he was considering purchasing. "She came willingly." His voice was smooth, educated, dripping with that posh London accent that would have been attractive in any other situation. "Yes," Jake said quickly, too quickly. "She knows the arrangement." "WHAT arrangement?" I screamed, my voice finally breaking free from my shock. That's when everything clicked into place. The way Jake avoided my eyes, the envelope Ashford slid across the desk, thick with cash, the satisfied smile on Jake's face as he picked it up. He sold me. My boyfriend sold me to pay off his gambling debts. "You piece of..." I lunged at Jake, but 2 massive guards appeared out of nowhere, holding me back. "Emma, it's better this way," Jake had the audacity to say. "You'll be taken care of, and I'm finally free." Taken care of? I was sobbing now, fighting against the iron grips holding me. "You sold me like cattle." Ashford raised one hand, and the room fell silent. He looked at Jake with something close to disgust. "Get out," he said simply. "But the money..." "Take your blood money and get out of my sight before I decide your debt requires a different form of payment." The threat in his voice was unmistakable. Jake grabbed the envelope and practically ran from the room, leaving me alone with the devil himself. The guards released me, and I crumpled to the floor, my designer dress, the one Jake insisted I wear, pooling around me like a wedding gown at a funeral. "Stand up," Ashford commanded. "Go to hell," I spat back, surprising even myself. A flicker of something crossed his face. Amusement, respect, I couldn't tell. "You have spirit, I'll give you that." He poured himself a drink, whiskey, neat, and didn't offer me one. "But let's establish the facts. Your boyfriend owed me £50,000. He offered you as collateral, now you're here." "I didn't agree to this," I screamed, finally pulling myself up on shaky legs. "I'm not property, I'm not staying here." "Yes, you are." He said it so calmly, like he was discussing the weather. You belong to me now, and no one can save you. Those words, those exact words that opened this nightmare. I tried to run. Of course I tried to run, but his men were everywhere. The house was a fortress. And when I finally exhausted myself, collapsing in some guest room they'd locked me in, I cried until I had nothing left. The next morning, I woke up to find a tray of breakfast and a note in elegant handwriting. Eat, we have much to discuss. J.A. I was starving, but I refused to touch it. This was probably part of the game. Break me down, make me dependent. I'd seen enough movies to know how this worked. But then something unexpected happened. Around noon, there was shouting downstairs. Lots of it. I pressed my ear against the door and heard Jake's voice. You can't just keep her. I fulfilled my end. But I want more money or I'll go to the police. My heart stopped. He came back, and he was extorting him. You want more money? Ashford's voice was deadly quiet. After you lied to me, after you told me she came willingly when she clearly knew nothing about your arrangement. She's just playing victim. She knew she was in on it. I heard the sound of fist meeting flesh, and Jake's yelp of pain. You sold an innocent woman to cover your gambling debts, Ashford continued, his voice getting closer to my door. You lied to me, wasted my time, and now you have the audacity to come to my home and demand more. She's not innocent. She cheated on me. She deserves this. Another lie. I never cheated. I never even looked at another man. Is that so? Ashford's voice was right outside my door now. Then let's ask her ourselves. The door swung open, and I stumbled backward. Ashford stood there, immaculate as ever, while Jake was being held by 2 guards, his nose bleeding. Did you cheat on him? Ashford asked me directly. Never, I said, my voice shaking with rage. I loved him. I gave him everything. I worked extra shifts to help with his rent. I believed every lie he told me. Jake's face twisted with guilt before hardening into anger. She's lying. No, Ashford said quietly, studying my face. She's not. I've built an empire on reading people, Mr. Harrison, and you're a pathetic liar. What happened next, I'll never forget. Ashford turned to his men. Take him to the basement. I want full surveillance on his activities for the past year. Bank records, phone logs, everything. You can't, Jake started. I can do whatever I want. You came into my world, boy. Now you play by my rules. They dragged Jake away, his protests echoing through the halls. I stood there, frozen, not understanding what was happening. Ashford turned to me, his expression unreadable. Come with me. Why? I backed away. So you can lock me up somewhere else. So I can get you some real food. You haven't eaten, and you look like you're about to faint. He was right. I was dizzy, weak, but I didn't trust him. I don't understand, I said, my voice breaking. Why does it matter if he lied? You still have me. Isn't that what you wanted? Something shifted in his eyes. Sit down, Miss Emma. We ended up in a different room, a conservatory filled with plants and natural light, less oppressive. He had someone bring tea and sandwiches, and I hated that they smelled amazing. I run many businesses, he began, settling into a chair across from me. Some legal, many not. I've done terrible things. I won't pretend to be a good man. Then what? But I have rules, lines I don't cross. He leaned forward, his gray eyes intense. I don't traffic innocent people. I don't deal in lies. When your boyfriend came to me and said you agreed to this arrangement, that you understood what you were getting into, I believed him. I thought you were a willing participant in clearing his debt. I wasn't, I whispered. I know that now, which changes everything. I didn't understand, couldn't understand. This was a mafia boss, a criminal. Why would he care? So, what? You're just going to let me go? Not yet. He set down his teacup with a soft clink. First, I'm going to destroy the man who did this to you, then we'll discuss your options. Over the next 2 days, I watched in horrified fascination as Ashford dismantled Jake's entire life. It turned out Jake hadn't just gambled away £50,000. He'd stolen money from his employer. He'd taken out loans in his dead mother's name. He'd catfished 3 other women online, promising them relationships while taking their money. And the cheating. He'd been sleeping with my best friend for 6 months. Ashford's people laid it all out in a folder that kept getting thicker. Bank statements, screenshots, photographs, everything. "Why are you showing me this?" I asked, sitting in his study while he worked at his desk. "Because you deserve to know the truth about the man you loved, and because," he paused, choosing his words carefully, "because I'm going to give you a choice." "What choice?" "I can ruin him, completely. Send evidence to the police, to his employer, to his family. He'll be arrested, charged, humiliated. He'll lose everything." "And the other option?" "I let him go with a warning. He walks away from this." I stared at him in disbelief. "You're asking me. You're a crime lord, and you're asking me what to do. You're the one he wronged most. The decision should be yours." I thought about it, really thought about it. Part of me wanted Jake to suffer the way he'd made me suffer, but another part, the part that was still exhausted and traumatized, just wanted it to be over. "Ruin him," I finally said. "He needs to face consequences for what he did, not just to me, to all of us." Ashford nodded. "Consider it done." But the strangest thing wasn't watching Jake's life fall apart. It was watching Ashford. He gave me my own room, a beautiful suite with a garden view. He made sure I had clothes, toiletries, anything I needed. He never came near me without permission, never threatened me, never made demands. "I don't understand you," I said one evening when he'd invited me to dinner. Actual dinner in a dining room like normal people. "You're supposed to be heartless. Everyone's terrified of you." "They should be," he said simply, cutting into his steak. "I'm very good at what I do." "Then why are you being kind to me?" He set down his utensils and looked at me, really looked at me. "My mother was sold by my father when I was 10 years old, traded to settle a debt. I never saw her again." The words hit me like a punch to the gut. I swore that day I'd never let that happen to anyone if I could prevent it. I've broken many promises in my life, Miss Emma, but never that one. "I'm sorry," I whispered. "Don't be sorry for me. I became the monster who ensures it doesn't happen in my territory. Any man who tries to trade a woman like property in London answers to me. Your boyfriend is lucky I'm letting him live." "He's not my boyfriend anymore." "Good. You deserve better than human garbage." I surprised myself by laughing, actually laughing. It felt wrong and right at the same time. "What happens to me now?" I asked quietly. "What do you want to happen?" I want my life back, my apartment, my job, my freedom." "Then that's what you'll have." He pulled out a black credit card and slid it across the table. "This has £50,000 on it, the amount he sold you for. Consider it compensation." "I can't." "You can. You will. And if you're smart, you'll use it to start over somewhere he can't find you." "You're really letting me go." "You were never really here, Emma. Not by choice. I don't keep people prisoner." "But I didn't leave. Not right away. And I couldn't figure out why." Maybe it was trauma bonding. Maybe it was Stockholm Syndrome. Or maybe, just maybe, it was because Julian Ashford was the first person in my life who'd actually protected me without asking for anything in return. We started talking, really talking. He told me about his empire, and I told him about my dreams of opening a bookshop. He showed me the parts of his world that weren't violent, the legitimate businesses, the charities he secretly funded, the way he actually helped people in his community. "You're not what I expected," I admitted one night, sitting in his library while rain pattered against the windows. "Neither are you," he replied, looking up from his book. "Most people who have been through what you've experienced would be broken, but you're still fighting, still sharp." "I'm terrified," I confessed. "Every day, I don't know if I can trust my own judgment anymore. I loved Jake. I thought I knew him." "He was a skilled liar. That's not a reflection on you." "Then why do I feel so stupid?" Julian set down his book and moved to sit beside me. Not touching, but close enough that I could feel his warmth. "Because you're human. Because you loved authentically while he loved conditionally. That's not weakness, Emma. That's strength. I don't know who moved first. Maybe it was me. Maybe it was him. But suddenly we were kissing, and it felt like coming home and jumping off a cliff at the same time. He pulled back first, breathing hard. This isn't right. You're vulnerable. I know what you are, I interrupted, and I know what I want. Emma. I'm not confused, Julian. For the first time in weeks, I'm actually clear. You're dangerous. You're probably going to break my heart. But you've also been the only person to treat me like I matter, like my choices matter. So yes, this is probably a terrible idea, but I'm choosing it anyway. He studied my face for a long moment. If we do this, if we try this, you need to understand what you're getting into. My world is violent, unpredictable. There will be danger. I just watched my entire life explode because I trusted the wrong person. At least with you, I know exactly what I'm signing up for. A slow smile spread across his face, the first real smile I'd seen from him. You're either very brave or very foolish. Can I be both? 6 months later, I stood in my bookshop, my actual, real bookshop, arranging new arrivals on the shelves. The place was small but perfect, tucked away in Notting Hill with big windows and comfortable reading chairs. Julian had helped with the initial investment, though I was paying him back monthly. I insisted on it. I needed to know I could stand on my own. You're doing it again. His voice came from the doorway. I turned to find him leaning against the frame, looking unfairly handsome in his casual clothes. He'd been away for 3 days on business, the kind I didn't ask too many questions about, and I'd missed him more than I wanted to admit. Doing what? Organizing by color instead of alphabetically. Your customers will never find anything. My customers appreciate aesthetic beauty, I countered, walking over to kiss him. It was still surreal sometimes, dating a crime lord. But Julian kept his promise. He kept his world separate from mine. The shop was mine alone. He never involved me in his business, never put me in danger. We were careful, cautious, learning to trust each other. The bell above the door chimed, and we both turned to see a woman entering, elegant, maybe 60, with kind eyes. I'm looking for a first edition of Wuthering Heights, she said. My son recommended this shop. Your son? Julian asked, his voice oddly tight. The woman's eyes landed on him, and her face transformed. Julian. I watched in shock as my fierce, untouchable boyfriend's eyes filled with tears. Mom. The reunion was everything you'd imagine. Tears, hugs, broken explanations. It turned out that after Julian's mother was sold, she'd ended up with a man who actually fell in love with her. He'd freed her, married her, and they'd been searching for Julian for 20 years. I never stopped looking for you, she sobbed into his shoulder. I never stopped. Later, after she'd left with promises to return tomorrow with her husband, Julian and I sat in the back of the shop, processing everything. All these years, he whispered. I thought she was dead. I built my entire empire on revenge for something that didn't happen the way I thought. She's alive, Julian. She's happy. She found love. That's what matters. He looked at me with those gray eyes that no longer seemed cold. I found love too. What? I love you, Emma. I've loved you since you told me to go to hell in my own study. You're brave and stubborn, and you see me, all of me, and you stay anyway. I took his hand. I love you too, even though you're a crime lord with terrible taste in whiskey. My whiskey taste is impeccable. You drink it neat like a psychopath. You drink rosé like a teenager. We dissolved into laughter, and for the first time since Jake sold me, I felt completely, perfectly safe. So here's what they don't tell you about falling in love with a London Mafia boss. It's terrifying. It's complicated. There are still nights I wake up from nightmares about that first night in his mansion. But Julian Ashford, the man who everyone fears, the man who rules London's underworld with an iron fist, he sees me. The real me, not the version Jake wanted me to be, not some idealized fantasy, just Emma, messy, stubborn, book-loving Emma. And yeah, his world is dangerous. There are bodyguards I pretend not to notice. There are nights he comes home with bruises he won't explain. There are parts of his life I'll never fully understand. But he kept his promise. He gave me my life back. He got revenge on Jake, who's currently serving 5 years for fraud and embezzlement, by the way. And he gave me something I didn't even know I needed. Someone who would fight for me without asking me to sacrifice who I am. As for the Mafia boss, who said I belonged to him, he was right. I do belong to him. But he belongs to me too. And that makes all the difference. If you made it this far, thank you for watching. This story proves that sometimes the villain of someone else's story becomes the hero of yours. Drop a comment telling me what you would have done in my situation. Would you have stayed or run? And if you're going through something similar, please know, you deserve better. You deserve someone who sees your worth. Whether that's a reformed mafia boss or just a decent human being, don't settle for anyone who treats you like you're disposable. Like, subscribe, and remember, sometimes the most dangerous choice is exactly the right one. Stay safe out there. 2 hearts.